Yeah, jabronis, it is a Verd, back with you again, and welcome here to part 2 of that big team building thing that I was doing. But yeah, this is the team builder for week 3 of the MBA. We are currently 1-1 with a +1 differential, I believe, in the MBA, and we're up here against the Portland Poliwags, coached by Bronson. He's made one recent change to his team where he dropped Alola Ninetales for Komao. So that was basically me just deciding, do I want to bring in Polion or I want to bring Uxie, and now I'm just bringing Uxie. So that sorted out my problem for me, but he's a very good player. I've done a lot of mocks against him, so I kind of know his battle style, but at the same time, man, like, I'm very tranquilo right now when it comes to draft format, not worrying too much, just whipped up this team, felt pretty confident with it, and I'm just going to stick with it, man. I kind of feel like over time now I just know what's best, so I stick with my gut. So if you guys are keen for this game, you know what to do. But regardless, we're going to get into this shit. So Zygarde is just super good in this matchup. He dropped Alolan Tails, which is kind of huge because he dropped his Fairy type. Granted, he has a regular Mawile, but I just don't count it as a Fairy type. It's just an Unmon to me because of the fact that it's under so much pressure against this team. Granted, it's a great Nihilego check, but against everything else, it's just going to get fisted. So there's going to be an immense amount of pressure on it. I've got Groundium on Zygarde for the fact that he has a few switch-ins to Zygarde, but the main premise that I kind of want to do is 1,000 arrows into Groundium Z on the Skarmory. I feel like Skarm is his best Zygarde check for the fact that he knows how much I love like stupid setup Zygarde sets, so I feel like he's more inclined to run a Whirlwind on that. So if I can go for, say, 1,000 arrows, knock down the Skarmory, and then go for the Groundium Z, I can basically either kill the Skarm, or I will weaken it to the point where if he does Whirlwind, he can just send me out into literally any one of my Mons, and I will knock out Skarmory. So then Skarmory is just no longer a Zygarde check, and that puts a massive hole in his team for the game, because Zygarde is a huge problem for Bronson. Huge, huge, huge. Because if Mawile goes down as well, and Skarmory goes down, then Outrage is just super spammable. E-Speed's super nice for the Weavile. Just puts me in a great position. Speed is designed to outspeed Scarfed something. Trying to remember, using my brain. Scarf Rotom. It's designed to outspeed Scarf Rotom because they didn't really need to creep anything else on his team, so it was just super quick, super easy, no hassle at all. Realistically, with this team, it was very straightforward and should be able to do the job quite easily. The Zygarde set, not really much else to say. It's a freaking Zygarde, man. What are you expecting, Rowan? But we're gonna move on to a more fun set. So my boy Cody here is looking kind of clean. I really like this Gallade set in the matchup because Bronson is going to go into this being like, I've got a Mew. Mew's one of the best checks to Gallade in the game, but the reason why Gallade's a bit different to Medicham is that Gallade can kind of deal with Mew a bit better thanks to access to Taunt. The bulk up is going to be really, really nice as well because it really depends on what kind of Mew he brings. If he brings like a Psyshock Mew, then bulk up is huge because he knows bringing Psychic, that because I have the good Spadef stat, he's not going to be able to break it as much, so I feel like he may be inclined to bring Psyshock. And could be like a mono Psyshock Mew for this matchup, or if he brings another move, it's going to be like Thunderbolt or something for my Greninja. So because of that, I feel that, you know, being able to bring bulk up plus Taunt's going to be really obnoxious and be really difficult for him to be able to wall with this Mew. It's also really nice in a way for Skarmory because it forces Brave Bird plays, which obviously with the shit ton of investment I have I can take and then just retaliate with Drain Punches because +1 Drain Punches still do a shit ton to Skarm, more than Brave Bird's going to do to me. And I prevent him from roosting, so it puts me in a really good spot. I actually contemplated for this matchup, instead of I think it was something. I was contemplating bringing like a block Avalugg to 1v1 Skarm because of the fact that he wasn't going to bring Shed Shell, and I could bring block and then just bring a ton of moves with high PP and just completely PP stall it out. I bring like Rapid Spin. I don't know if it gets Haze or something similar to that, and then just run Skarm completely out of PP, make it kill itself, and then just go from there. Because I could have been that guy. Because, like, knowing Bronson, he would have just gone hard Skarm on a Avalugg, because what does he have to lose from it? But it's whatever. Gallade can just take hits from everything too, like Zard, it can just chew up a hit from. Granted, it can't hit Zard super hard. Knockoffs is really nice though, because it weakens Mew. Gallade isn't really designed to beat Mew just on its own, but it's designed to just be really disruptive against a lot of his team. Because, like, one example is that I can taunt Skarm, and then I can just go hard into Zygarde instead of a DD, and there's not much you can do about it. It's just really free at that point. it can just open a lot of doors for my team, which is really, really nice. Drain Punch plus Knockoff covers basically everything barring Zard Y, which is annoying, but at the same time, if my Uxie can get up rocks earlier in the game, then +1 knock can do a good amount, so can Drain Punch, and the hardest move that Zard has hit me with is... trying to think of Sun Damage Boost. I think Fire Blast is the strongest move, but Air Slash is up there too. But obviously I'll always outspeed him, Air Slash can't flinch me because I'm in focus, so I can take a hit, retaliate with like Drain Punch or Knockoff or whatever, and just, you know, play around that. So it's no big deal at all. Gallage is a super good mon in this set. I want to bring it thick because it can kind of wall a lot of his threats that way too. Well, not wall all of his threats, it can kind of do that, but also it allows it to deal with a lot of Gallade's checks because of the fact that it can just taunt them or bulk up on them. But moving on to probably the only defensive Pokemon really on this team, like Gallade doesn't even count, but this is basically defensive. It is a more Fizz-Def kind of style Uxie, mainly designed as the Komodo check, but does double as well as the Weavile check to an extent. As you can kind of see with my team, the way that it's orientated is that I don't really give a shit about Weavile. My plan is to play super aggressively against it. Gallade doesn't give two shits because Ice Cold Crash can't flinch it, and I can just go straight for Drain Punch and kill it. Zygarde, if it DDs after rocks, I can just knock that thing out with E-Speed, or, you know, over time I'll just wear down the Weavile. Basically the thing is that I'm running U-Turn on Uxie because if Weavile comes in against me, or even if he leads Weavile, I can just click U-Turn turn 1. Even if he knocks off, he pops the Cold Berry, so I can take like little to no damage from that. I can click U-Turn and basically automatically almost put Weavile into range of Zygarde's E-Speed, which is massive. Really, really solid for me in the duration of the game. And on that, it's just great. Thunder Wave's there too as just a disruption move. It's really nice against certain mons, like even Mew it's super good against because I don't care if I get paralyzed. Like granted I'm running a bit of speed, and that speed is actually designed for me to outspeed Como because I felt there were a few different Como sets that my opponent could bring. But I liked having the security of knowing that my Uxie could outspeed a Como if it was, say, like a bulk up variant. I could go for like the Thunder Wave to set it back a little bit if it was like a Dual Dance or something, or if it was a subset, then being able to Thunder Wave it too before it could do anything. I'm running Zen Headbutt over Psychic because of the fact that I didn't want to be minus in any other stats, and I didn't want to be minus in attack because I want that U-Turn to do as much damage as possible to that Weavile. But yeah, T-Wave could be expendable for another move, but I just kind of like it in this matchup, and Rocks are super important. If there's opportunity to get them up 100%, I will. Like my hope is leading with Uxie and being able to get Rocks turn 1, but obviously if it leads Weavile, it's unlikely that'll happen. We'll just see what happens with the game, you never know, but this is just a really good utility mon, and rotates really well with Gallade. Like the dual Psychics are super good here. Moving on to another really solid model, this is where I was saying that with Uxie it really comes down to what the lead is, because my opponent does have a few good solid Stealth Rockers, obviously Mew being a primary target for that, so it means that there is that little debate of like, oh, do I run, you know, this, or do I lead maybe with Greninja or something else, because I want to put as much pressure on as possible, because Volcarona again just has a really good matchup here, guys. Like this set, it's very much designed to, again, like it has in previous matchups, secure a kill or weaken things to the point where I can get stuff done. Running the Charty Berry because I feel that, you know, there's a chance the Mawile could be like AV with Stone Edge. I want to be able to eat a hit. There's a few other mons, as we saw last week, that can tech the Rock Slide, so being able to take that would be huge. But Giga Drain is my main form of recovery because obviously Rotom is a thing, just want to be able to slip that thing straight up. The one kind of move that I've sacrificed here for this moveset is HP Rock. So last time in the matchup against Sleck, I did run HP Rock, but this time I'm deciding not to do it because if Bronson's smart, he's probably done his research and known that I have the tendency to run HP Rock, so he'll be very tentative about going into his Charizard. But at the same time, if he doesn't run a physically offensive move on Charizard, I'm kind of free to quiver most of the time against it. Now it's a bit of a risk being slower than Charizard straight away, but at the same time I'm never bringing this in hard against Zard. I have Zygarde, I have Gallade, I have Greninja, and I have Nihilego. 4 mons that don't really care about Zard too much, plus the fact that I could paralyze the Zard with Uxie if need be for that kind of Hail Mary. And then Volcarona could kind of just go in. Late game it's a very solid mon, early game it's a really solid mon, just in general a really, really solid mon here. Psychic is designed there for the Como. I feel like he will expect me to maybe want to run Hurricane instead of Psychic, because he'll be like, oh, well, if the sun's up with Zard, then, you know, Hurricane's only a 50-50 chance, but why would I risk that when I can just run Psychic? And the modest nature is there because this literally can run through his team. There are many opportunities to set up against a lot of his team. Like I said, if his Mew is so bulky and designed to beat Gallade in that way, then like going hard Volcarona is super good against it. This is also a very good switch in for Zygarde, because say if it's up against Kofag, like if Kofags is the designated Zygarde check, then I can just go hard into Volcarona, because like what is a Kofag going to do to a Volcarona? I can get up a free Quiver Dance, even if he wants to go for the Calm Mind. I'm not really too fussed, because I can just kind of just spam Modest Fire Blast, and I feel like I'm going to be doing more to Kofag than it can do to me, and over time just, you know, wear that thing down and kind of put in the work there. So yeah, this is just a really solid set for my team. I wish I could fit on other moves, but this is probably the best that it's going to get to. Moving on, we have another Dreadplay Greninja set. Reason it's Dreadplay, I guess, again, this matchup is that it's just so freaking spammable. And also I kind of want to bait a potential choice item, potentially Specs, if he's worried about certain roles. It could fall into that category where he's a little bit worried that like he sees the damage, he's like, oh yeah, he must be Specs Ninja, straight off the bat, just assuming that, but it could just be Dreadplay. So few little mind games, but it's more the fact that his only resists on his team to Dark Pulse, Coma-O, and Morwa. They are the only two resists on his entire team to it. It is super spammable against everything. Ice Beam is there because it hits the Coma-O as well as Landorus. U-Turn is there for that Weavile, and also just kind of pivoting against everything in general, and Shuriken is just super good late game. Running Modest because why not? I was very tempted to turn this into a Life Orb set, but I feel like it can come in so many times and put on so much pressure that running the Life Orb kind of defeats the purpose. Dreadplate's really solid here. I was also tempted by Expert Belt given how many different mons it can hit super effectively, but I just felt like it wasn't worth the risk. With Dreadplate, I can still hit other mons super hard on the switch in and really punish them and put them potentially into Shuriken range, like Lando. Being able to go Dark Pulse into Shuriken, even if it's a Scarf set, and knock it out is super huge. Now, the last one on my team is a bit of a tricky choice because the main issue I actually had, funnily enough, was I said that Morwa was an unmon, but it is kind of annoying for my team to deal with. It's not super annoying, I have many ways around it, but what is annoying about it, I suppose, is that I feel his optimal set to bring is either specially defensive or AV, because it is his best Nihilego check. But on the flip side, I feel the constant pressure from things like Greninja going for Dark Pulse, then I can just U-turn freely out to Volcarona, potentially get a Flame Body Burn. Obviously Uxie can kind of take hits if it needs to, and Zygarde and Gallade, you know, can kind of do some huge damage against it. I feel with all these things combined that it's not too much of a detriment for Nihilego, so I have decided to bring a Choice Scarf variant to this game. Obviously running pack, words are hard, packing the HP Fire just in case I really do want to get rid of that Morwa. It is my best way of hitting it. It's better than HP Ground because of the fact that it catches Weavile too, potentially. Granted, like, I don't know if he's ever going to bring Weavile hard in against a Nihilego, but it is what it is. The most spammable move easily is Power Gem, followed by Dazzling Gleam. Just that kind of coverage deals with basically everything on the team, barring Morwile. But I have the HP Fire there for it. Sludge Wave, again, is not really the most spammable move, but it's there because if all the mons that resist or are immune to Sludge Wave die, then Sludge Wave becomes a better spammable move than Power Gem in the late game. So that's kind of why it's there. It doesn't really have any other pertinence. I was also tempted to replace Sludge Wave in this matchup with Mirror Coat for the potential chance of going up against a Kofag that had set up. And my plan was to kind of design the Nihilego where it could take a +6 Shadow Ball from fully defensive Kofag and then be able to go for the Mirror Coat and knock it straight out. I like that idea, but the problem I had with it was then that Weavile can just come in and click Pursuit and I'd lose my Nihilego for literally no reason. So I'd rather just have Power Gem on there and spam that so Weavile can't just come in and pick up a free kill. It's forced to Ice Shard, which won't knock me out, and I can then just obviously go for Power Gem and kill it. So there's that. Obviously he's got a lot of big threats on his team. Huge threats, massive threats, but I feel that the way I've designed my team with a few nice pivots in Greninja and Uxie, Solid Rock Setter, a lot of pressure early game from Volcarona can just open doors. I think Gallade's got a huge chance of really breaking his team apart, and I mean Zygarde is basically the win con at the end of the day. If I can get that thing with a DD, blowing through a lot of the walls, Especially like Zygarde busts through a lot of the walls to Nihilego, which is huge. The big issue I think that he's going to have is whether he brings Mawile or not. Because granted, it is a fantastic check to my Nihilego and to an extent my Bulu. It can deal with both of those really, really nicely. But at the same time, if I don't bring either of those mons, because the thing is, like, Skarmory is just as good a check to Bulu as Mawile is, and he does have other ways that he can play around Nihilego. So it's a tricky choice for him. I feel like he's more inclined to bring Skarm, but if he doesn't bring Skarm, I don't really care. Like, Zygarde can just freely arrows into, like, Groundium. I was tempted to run Dragonium, but just the chance to kill Skarmory is just way too precious, man. I feel like it's a really good matchup for us. I am playing a lot more aggressively, I guess, with this team. With a lot of my teams, there's not as much bulk really being used. Granted, there's a bit of investment here and there. And I do have two kind of bulky mons here, but they're bulky with a purpose. Obviously, this, like, eating up the hit from Weavile is huge, and being able to U-turn is massive. I'm very tempted to replace Thunder Wave with Ice Punch because of the potential for what's its name, of Lando, but at the same time Zen Headbutt does a good chunk, and like knockoff from Lando isn't doing too bad, and plus I could potentially do a hard swap into Gallade, which potentially could have Justified at the start, and then I get the attack raise, and that puts a lot of pressure on him if Gallade has the Justified. So definitely a lot of options there. I'm pretty happy with how the team's gone. The basic premise, like I said, early game pivot through Uxie and Greninja, early game setup pressure between Volcarona and Gallade, and then late game pressure of Nihilego and Zygarde to kind of break him down. But yeah, that's basically the team, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun to use this, I think. Bronson's a really cool guy. Should be a fun battle. Not taking it overly seriously, but we'll try and make the best plays possible. I remember now that Mons don't have to Mega Evolve turn 1, so I will keep that in mind. When it comes to the Charizard, it's not too big of a deal, though. It stays the same typing, so it won't be too bad. But that's going to do it for me. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you did, you know the drill. Like this video, all that jazz. I'm pretty keen for this game. It should be a fun one. Bronson's a really cool guy, and I'm a pretty good daddy. But yeah, whatever. That's going to do it, guys. I'm the Verd. I'm out of this bit.